podcast. So I've been following you on LinkedIn for a while. You have around 40,000 followers, and your LinkedIn posts are really valuable. Like especially the bundle of files you are giving out is insights into CRO. Even though the test you are running or like the landing pages of the biggest brands, really valuable things. I can't start off the podcast without commenting about the posts you are giving through LinkedIn. So, welcome to the podcast.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me, and thanks for the shout out for the LinkedIn post. Trying to do my best to give as much value as I can. So I hope in the podcast today we can cover some A/B testing topics as well. So super excited.
Yep, yeah, sure. You are the first guest on our podcast on top of the cake. Yeah.
That is amazing. I didn't know that. Wow. I thought there already was some other episodes recorded. So what a pleasure to be the first guest. Wow.
Yes.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, my pleasure. Let's go. So, you started drip agency around 5 years back, right? So, how was the journey so far? We will get into more detail later on a short, on a brief. How was the journey so far?
Yeah. So Drip Agency actually company started out as a by mistake. Like we did not intend to ever start a CRO agency. So my co-founder Fabi and me, when we were 18, we went to high school and we both didn't want to go to college. So through a friend we met and we started out with our own online shops. Initially, we started out drop shipping stuff from China, like bracelets, flower pots. Then at one point we sold jeans online. We first had jeans like that we sold from China. And the return rates were like through the roof. So we were like, okay, like we know we can sell jeans online. But then we went to Portugal and tried to produce them. Took us 8 months to get them produced and get everything done. In the meantime, we are like, oh, we need something that makes us money so we don't have to go to college, because our parents were like, okay, if you cannot support yourself, you have to
Okay.
go to college. So we're like, well, we sort of know how to do online shops and how to optimize them, because all the drop shipping stores we had, they all had like really good conversion rates. Then through LinkedIn, so we started posting on LinkedIn, I think in 2018, 2019, like way before the mainstream started going on there. We met
Hmm.
Johannes Klich. He's the founder of Snox, one of, I'd say, Germany's largest underwear direct-to-consumer brands, or probably the largest one by now. And
Okay.
he asked us to optimize his online shop. He also was like, well, like since you guys don't have like enough money to afford housing and living, he offered us to live in the Snox office. So we started out in the Snox office, and then out of that, like we completely forgot about the jeans, and we started focusing on building an agency. So it was like the very quick and put together story of how Drip started. So complete accident, and now 5 years later, in 2024, we're around 48 people. So we grew quite a lot.
Amazing.
Um, yeah, have some amazing clients. Worked with some companies that are listed on stock exchanges, working with startups and scale ups. That's insane. And like, Farm, you were both pretty young, with 24 only. So I'm super excited what the future has in place and what interesting projects we're still gonna work on.
Oh, amazing, man, amazing. I didn't know about this. I have gone through your LinkedIn post to know about your story and all, but I couldn't find this anywhere. It's amazing. Yeah.
Thanks. Yeah, I think it's the first time I'm dropping the story in English actually. Because we've done a lot of content in Germany, and I
Okay.
used to post a lot about my story and personal life. I sort of
Okay.
focused to only like posting CRO stuff because I thought it's gonna be more valuable to people. That's a good
Hmm.
point. I might start sharing a little bit of our story more.
Yeah, you should share your story. It's very interesting. Yeah. So you started off right in the drop shipping space, then building trying to build multiple stores. Then you saw a gap in the CRO space, worked with one of the biggest Germany brand, and got into started off with the CRO agency. Now with 48 brands working with one of the top brands in the world, and especially in the Germany. It's crazy.
It is. It's been quite like it's been a wild ride. I can't deny that. A lot of luck. Like obviously work a lot, but there are so many factors that are luck. So quite glad for them.
Okay. Yes. So many of the CRO beginners who want to learn CRO might be watching this podcast. So like, what are the some of the foundational elements of when it comes to SERO? Like I'm implementing SERO things in a Shopify store. Most of the basic things. Yeah.
Yeah, so Sierra, what are the basics? I think
Hmm.
the most fundamental part is understanding that every time a metric changes or metric goes up, you actually change customer behavior. So the fundamental of CRO should be being customer centric, and
Hmm.
like very research driven. So your job as a CRO is to understand the friction points that people have when they want to buy a product. So like what holds them from buying them, and also understanding
Hmm.
that deep like psychological motivations. Why do they want to buy the stuff? Um, so that's for me like the number one thing, like just having that in your head all the time. Because we as marketers, we like to throw around numbers, we like to optimize numbers, and like be like, oh, we improved that metric by X, Y, Z%. But what does it actually mean, like in user behavior? Like, why did it change? And like, essentially, your conversion rate only tells you how many of 100 people are buying stuff from you, and the only way
Hmm.
you really can like increase that number is by understanding why are 97% not buying, and then like trying to nudge some people towards the buying choice. So that's the most fundamental thing. And then also constantly dig into your data, like do basic funnel analysis, run surveys. Like for example, you can run surveys on your site. Like when people are on the product page, like after let's say 90 seconds, you can show a pop up with Hotjar and be like, hey, like is there any information missing on the page? Then post purchase surveys, you can do stuff like what did you what did almost stop you from buying from us, or what friction points did you have in our customer journey? What could we improve? Then also running surveys like to the existing customers that you have, because they are like the best and reliable data source you have to understand why they bought from you. You could like run surveys through your CRM campaigns and be like, hey, we wanted to know why did you buy our product? Which other products did you consider? And like that way you can try to understand what
Hmm.
thoughts and what thought patterns people have before they buy your product. And then most importantly, also like your online shop or like how you sell things and your product is a vehicle to get a person from A to B. So you want to know like what do they want to achieve from that? Because like you rarely sell anything by just like pointing out facts and like very hardcore tables and a lot of like information. Like they might work for electronics where it's important, but like for 80% of consumer goods, it's not important. So you really want to know what do they want to achieve? Do they want to lose weight? Do they want to look better? Do they want to be accepted in their peer group as being fashionable? Do they buy a product because like it's increases their status? For example, that's a perfect example of watches. Like 2016, 2017, you had all these watch brands popping off and like making huge amounts of money. The single reason, or like one of the main reasons why they all worked that good, they had influencers that wore them, promoted them, and were like, that's like, for example, movement watches and stuff like that. And they promoted in a way that like if you wore a watch of theirs, you'd be like high, like you'd be a higher status pretty much. You had like all these YouTubers like what is it, Alpha M, for example, in the States. I know him. Like all these influencers. But yeah, so back to the question, like the CRO basics, like do research a lot, try to understand your users. Um, and yeah, that's what I would say is the number one thing. Before you start testing anything, really, really do your research.
So got it. So the most of the basic thing of the CRO is like understanding user behavior. Why do they want to buy this thing? Like, or like what gives them when they bought this product from this brand, right? So it all comes down to user behavior and this like human behavior, human psychology, right? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So that's like also like if you really want to get deep into CRO or like overall marketing, the number one topic you should study is like behavioral economics, behavioral
Hmm.
psychology. Because if you understand that and if you understand how flawed human decision making is,
Hmm.
then you can know how to influence it. But there's also like a fine line between using dark patterns and actually like doing SEO in a right way. Because that's also something that's important. Like if you know how to influence people, you can use it for a lot of bad stuff. But yeah, like definitely study behavioral psychology a lot.
Yeah. Nice, nice. Okay, that was an interesting point. So, like, when you are running A/B test or implementing a CRO thing, like, can you walk us through the process of developing and running A/B test, like the step-by-step process? You covered a lot about in the like recent thing, but can you by walk us through a step-by-step thing?
Sure.
Yeah.
So in order to run an A/B test, it's quite simple. So the first thing you start with, like I said, is you do your research. You're trying to figure out where are people on my shop dropping off, like where do you have the most exposure and most opportunity to test, because for testing you need traffic. Then the second thing is you're trying to come up and understand why are people, for example, from the product page to cart, why are they dropping off there? So you have the what and the why. Then the next thing is like once you have a hypothesis why people are dropping off. Let's say, for example, you own a fashion brand, and a lot of the people for some reason add size M and size S into the cart. And then in the cart, they are dropping off. Then a hypothesis here why a lot of people drop off could be they're unsure about the size. They have the same product in two different sizes in their cart. Quite easy, like to look, like get that data with Google Analytics. Then you could be like, oh, so one hypothesis could be, or like how we can solve this so more people go into the checkout. For example, we could reassure them that if a size doesn't fit, they can send it back for free. Or we could like show them a size guide in the cart and be like, hey, like we think you're not sure about the size, which one you need. So take this quiz and we'll recommend the right size for you. So like that point you have like where people usually break off. You have two different hypotheses what you could do to get them further. Or also maybe like it's a popular brand. You could be like, hey, the products in your cart, they're low in stock. Check out now. So like then even like if they are a little bit uncertain, they're like, oh, okay, I'd rather buy it now and have the hassle to pay like ship one back, but I really like the product. So you have like three different ways that you could go. So then what you do is like you design it, obviously. Then you develop the test, and then before you start it, that's one very important thing. You need to choose what metric are you going to track. So in A/B testing, you can do like most of the time people will do something for like conversion rate, and you can also do the average revenue per user. It honestly always depends what metric you choose based on how much data you have. For example, if you want to like test for average revenue per user, you need a lot of data because you need like just a little bit of statistics. Like every time you run an A/B test, you need to pre-calculate your statistics. So you need to make sure that the test that you're running actually like, and if you detect an effect, it's actually there. So what you would do is like you would be like, okay, like I want to be able to detect 3% uplift, because like for my business, like let's say you're doing 10 million a year, 3% uplift would be 300,000 uplift a year. And then you're like, okay, 3%, that's like usually a B test costs you from like 2,000 to 4,000 euros. So okay, that's like a good risk reward ratio. And then based on that, you're trying to calculate, okay, if I want to detect 3%, and like I want to be statistically be able to detect that, how many users do I need? That's the question you ask. And then with statistical calculations, a lot of calculators out there that you can use. We often use Toolkit, analyticstoolkit.com to calculate that. So then you try and figure out, okay, how many users do I need? And then you, for example, for 3%, you might need, let's say, 100,000 users per variant. So 100,000 users in a reference, 100,000 users in a variation. And then you calculate that, put that into your testing tool. And obviously, when you calculate it, you have all the factors like statistical power, then your confidence / p-value, doing all of that stuff. Once you calculated that, you know, okay, I need that many users. You start the test. And usually, like, if you have a predetermined number of users that you need to have in the test, then you stop the test after, let's say, like, it takes you 4 weeks to get like the amount of users. You stop the test and then you analyze it afterwards. So that's the process. There are a lot of more advanced statistics that you also can do for running the tests, but I think that'd be overkill. I think I did some posts on that, so feel free like to just reach out to me if you have statistical questions, because it's not sexy explaining, but it's super important. And then once you have the test, it's time to analyze it. There are three main things that can happen. Number one, it's a winner, which is perfect. You're just going to implement it. Number two, it's inconclusive, or inconclusive meaning that you don't have a statistical change or significant change in the result. And then number three, it's statistical negative. So then what you do when it's winning, it's like you just implement it. That's not like, and you can try to figure out like understanding why did it work, but talking from experience, it's super hard to pinpoint why a test worked. Usually the most you learn from the tests that are losers. So it's hard in the beginning. Like if you spend a couple of €1,000 on a test and then it's negative, you're like, Man, I wish that test was positive, but like in the first moment, it's like just so disappointing. But the second moment, like you can go into the data and like can try to figure out, like let's say for example, we ran the test and showed a size guide in the cart. Um, if that was negative, then we could be like, well, why was that negative? Then you can start like watching recordings of the people that went into the variation, or like check the Google Analytics data and try to like piece together the puzzle. Why did people drop off? And then, for example, you could find out, oh, like just the UI design, how we did the size guide in the card was like horrible, or we didn't even like make it visible enough and people did not click it. Then you know, like for a retest, what you can do better for the future. And then you can reiterate the test and try to test it again with like slight adjustments. And speaking from experience, I'd say like, yeah, 40 to 50% of your tests will be negative. Like 30, like if you're good, like 30% will be winners and the other 20% will be inconclusives. So just be prepared when you test. A lot of the time you're gonna fail, but then it's about standing up again, digging into the data, and trying to figure out why people did not buy.
Yeah, got it. I think nowadays many people are getting to share, and they're like most of them claiming like if the test not win, we will give your money back, or many big claims. So I think people need to understand this, that A/B testing is a very time consuming process. It needs patience, research, data, a lot of skill sets are needed. So it's not like run A/B test and make money, right? So
Yeah, it rarely is that way. It can be that way in very few cases.
hmm.
But speaking from experience, CRO and A/B testing done right takes time, a lot of resources. It's like not a one person job. Like you need a lot of people. You need usually web analysts, psychologists, e-commerce managers, developers, designers. Especially if you get into more advanced test concepts, you need a lot of stuff. But yeah, it's not make money quick. Like I'd say, like really seeing the fruits of a CRO program and like A/B testing, you usually start seeing them after like maybe 2 to 4 months. So it takes time. Like it's not like you turn on your Facebook ads and you get revenue instantly. It's more like a gradual process. The more you test, the more efficient your company gets with the time. Like the more you're able to outspend your competitors. So yeah, nothing to get rich quick. Sadly.
Yeah, that's the truth. That's the reality.
Yeah.
Okay. So, like as you discussed, like you have to have many skill set to run a successful A/B test. Web designers, data analysts, like doing research as psychologists. Like, what are your go-to tools to run a A/B test or CRO in your agency, or you do you use personally?
Um. Yeah. So we use a bunch of different tools. Honestly, it always depends on what the clients and customers' needs is.
Okay.
Um. So I'd say like we probably use all of the A/B testing tools out there. Um. Like I wouldn't recommend like a specific single one. I'd say like it depends on your budget, depends on like the technical capability the tool like needs to have. Do you need a recommendation engine? Do you need a visual editor? Do you need like specific APIs to like different tools or analytics tools? So yeah, that's what like yeah. Um,
Got it.
no, like honestly, we're trying to be very tool agnostic and like trying to be very open minded, and like every tool has its place in the market space. Um, so
Yes.
hard to like honestly hard to like pinpoint it down to one, because like every customer's needs is different. Then for example, in Germany you have a bunch of data regulations, so you cannot use
Oh.
every tool. So tools like need to have servers in Germany. You need like special contracts to sign with the tool, and the tool needs to sign with the clients. So there's a bunch of stuff going into like on the legal side as well.
Okay.
There are a lot of restrictions, but yeah, like maybe for simplicity, yeah, yes, like just try it out. Like if you're like beginning, like try it out tool with a visual editor. Maybe see like what are the minimum tests you can do. Like try not to blow your budget into a testing tool. Like that's maybe the one thing I want to say. It doesn't make sense to spend like 80-90,000 a year in a like on an A/B testing solution or tool if you have no one that is able to use it.
Got it.
Sadly, a lot of companies do that. A lot of testing tools are going out there and they're like, we can solve all your problems for you. Um, but then they completely forget that you actually like that A/B testing. You need to know what you're doing, because otherwise, like, you're gonna end up with a lot of not a lot of winners. You're gonna end up with a lot of losers and a lot of inconclusive tests.
Got it, got it. So, like one of the free tools were available out there was Google Optimize. Like it's got shut down. Like, were you using Google Optimize or like, yeah?
I mean, we used it when it still was available. It got sunset. So we're not using it anymore. And I do have to say, we only use Google Optimize as the bucketing engine. For everyone that doesn't know, bucketing engine is the engine that decides is a user going to the variation or the reference. So it's like the randomization process. We never used the statistical model of Google Optimize because we did not believe in the assumptions they took with their statistics. So it was a great tool to get started, but you had to stitch a lot of data together and like get the data into statistical calculators. So I'm sort of like glad that it's away, honestly. But yeah, now that's the bad thing. Like, I don't know if there are any like free like tools that are really free, because there are like some free, I'd call it not freebies, but like some freemium tools where we have like 50,000 users available a month. But honestly, with 50,000 users a month, you barely can test anything. So
Nice, got it. So you have around more than 5 years experience. Like, what was the first A/B test or CRO thing you ran? First A/B test you ran, or the first CRO things you implement? Do you remember that?
yes, I do. The first thing that we tested was for Snox, and it was a test on Boxer Shorts product detail page where we added this product fits as expected in 94% of the time. Was a winner. So probably one of the reasons why I stayed into an A/B testing in CRO. But yeah, it was the first test I ever ran. Never, like, no one ever asked me that question. I really had to think about that. Amazing, man.
Yeah, fine. So, like when you work with multiple clients over the 5 years and more, you have run multiple tests. So, like you might be like see some like repeatable things, repeatable tests that won't continuously. So, what are some of the tests that should work in all of the cases? We can't ensure like in every cases. Every brand is different, every customers are different, right? Even though, what are some of the tests that work most of the cases?
That's a very good question. So, I mean, like, I do a lot of content on a lot of content on tests that did work, and sharing tests with results. One thing I'm trying to steer away from is like giving out best practice and saying like this works like every single time. We have like, for context, we have a huge database with like 2,500 A/B tests of like different patterns, and in our database we have, I think, 3 A/B tests that have 100% win rate, but they only were like tested. They only were tested once. So that's like, I'm not gonna say that these have like 100% win rate. So the highest ones we have are like in a 50 and 60% win rates. So like they work every second time. So what I like would try people to get to is like to understand there is like nothing like a best practice. You always should, like, in a best case, you always should test it. If you're small, like, just take 50 or 60 best practice together and like run one huge experiment. But yeah, I'm trying to think like things that work very often, like usually work most of the time, is honestly urgency and scarcity. These are like two of the best patterns we see. But also, like, one important thing to say here is that you need to be genuine with like the timers and scarcity use. Like, if you start to fake it and like you're doing fake urgency, fake scarcity, your customer base will eventually understand that, and then it backfires. So like if you use urgency and scarcity, like your strike price actually has to end like on that given time. Like also in Europe, for example, like, I don't know if it's all over Europe or only Germany. In Germany, if you're like faking your countdown and your pricing, you can get sued. So it's actually illegal doing that. But yes, like these would be like the two patterns that work a lot of the times. And And yeah, that's the only thing I can say. Like using timers and scarcity messages during save times usually works all the time. But all the other patterns we have, they're like so specific to different, I'd say, industries. Like you probably could do like industry best practices, like in some sort of way. But I would not say like this works for every online shop, no matter of the
Got it.
industry.
So the thing is, best practices specific industry specific best practices work well. Like not well, than like best practices for all e-com brands, right? Industry specific things.
Um, Scarcity and urgency, I would say, works for most ecom brands, but all the other
Okay.
things, like I have so many we have so many data points in our database. Based on that, I cannot give out a best practice and be like, okay, that's gonna work for everyone. It's just the data isn't there. Like any agency that tells you like there are like 50 best practices that are guaranteed to work, um, that's gonna be super hard.
Got it.
Like you're probably guaranteed like to have an uplift if you implement all 50 and test it against like your baseline. But like, yeah, a single best practice and giving out a single best practice is super hard. That's working across every. So I'd say it's almost impossible.
Got it. Understood.
Okay.
So the AI is coming up. It's taking a lot of jobs. How do you see AI in the CRO space? Will it take the job of a CRO expert or a CRO consultant or CRO agency? How do you see where all this going up?
Yeah, I finally, I don't know, yesterday or 2 days ago posted something on LinkedIn. What my thoughts on that is. I honestly think AI will not take away any CRO jobs. If it does anything, it's gonna enable to do even crazier things. AI enables us to understand and process way more data way faster, have a way better and deeper understanding within a few minutes instead of like a few hours to a few days of a specific topic. So I'm not scared at all. I'm just like super excited of what is going to come out of it. Like there's so many things you can do with AI. We use it in around, I don't even know, 20 different tasks within our company. So a lot of the work we do is automated with AI. So that's like maybe also the thing
Oh,
in CRO.
nice.
Like you can use AI like to do two things. One is to save time creating A/B tests, save time analyzing data, and then the second one is increasing the effect rate. So effect rate is like how many of your tests are winners and losers. So like that you actually have a statistical change. So we use AI like to tag all our tests into different psychological tactics. So we do employ a psychology team that has like degrees in psychology. So like we used to have like our entire team like had to go to that person and get the test tagged and like run through the tests. And we're still doing that a lot and like having psychologists look over the tests. But now with AI, we're starting to get to the point where we automatically are able to tag the tests, automatically are able to ask follow-up questions, like try to figure out before the test even goes live, why could this test not work? What could we do better? And then after the test, tag it and like put it back in the database. The more tests we run, the better like our data gets and the more we learn in the end. So I'm super excited because there are like so many things we are already doing with AI. And yeah, the options are limitless, honestly. So
Yeah. So instead of avoiding AI or fearing AI, embrace AI, like
yeah,
use AI to ease your work and or the workflows, right?
100%.
Okay.
Like play around with it. Like AI is like, I love it. It's like a toy. Like you can do so many like I love it. It makes you feel like a small kid, like when I used to play with Lego. Like build Lego things. AI is the same thing. You just put stuff in, it gives you stuff out. Sometimes it's frustrating because you're like, why are you so stupid? But then if you ask the right questions again, you can fine tune it and get some amazing things out of it.
Yeah. Asking the right questions is the right way to get the right answers, especially
Yeah,
for the AI, right?
yeah, 100%.
Okay. So, like, do you use any tools, like, especially in the CRO and AI integrated space? Like, any specific tools?
Um, Finally, we mostly build our own tools.
Oh,
So we have,
nice.
yeah, we have a lot of internal
So,
tools.
hmm.
As an agency, your tooling costs are very easily going through the roof. So quite
Hmm.
often, it makes more sense building stuff on your own. Also, my co-founder
Nice,
Fabi is a beast at coding, so yeah, he built some
nice.
amazing things. What we do, like the tools that we use, like obviously the A/B testing tools, but then also stuff like analytics toolkit for our
Hmm.
statistic calculations.
Hmm.
And except that, like obviously Google Analytics, all the web or like other analytics tools that are installed on a shop, Hotjar, Microsoft Clarity to get session
Okay.
recordings and heat maps.
Hmm. Nice.
But that's it. Like very lean tool stack, honestly.
Okay, nice. So actually, we are building an AI, like AI assisted A/B testing tool. Yeah, Felix is the leading the. He's the founder, and yeah, we are specifically built for Shopify. And Felix been in the industry for like more than 4 years in the Shopify ecosystem, built around 10 plus apps, and now he's got into specifically in the A/B testing space. It's called A/B Final. Like when we talked about AI and A/B testing, just came to my mind. Yeah,
Yeah, I'm excited. We didn't try out the tool yet. We definitely will. So I'm
yep,
super excited to see where you guys' journey is going to.
yeah. Surely, let's catch up other time regarding the tool and all.
Definitely.
Yeah. So, like, as a year of agency founder, the industry is changing quite speedily, fastly. Like new things coming up, new updates are coming up. Like, what are your go-to resources to learn more about CRO, like, or A/B testing? Like, what are the YouTube channels or blogs or LinkedIn? Your LinkedIn account itself a go-to resource tool. Other than then, what are your go-to resources?
Um, Honest, like in the like if you start out, a good foundation is CXL. Like
Hmm.
just
Ah.
getting very broad understanding. But then once you've done your degree, it's just about practicing zero. So like
Hmm.
very honest, like there are some people's blogs I still read to this day. It's Avinash Kaushik. He was I don't know if you know him. Like he used to be the chief evangelist for Google Analytics at Google.
Hmm.
He like I don't even know, like probably like 15 or 20 years ago, he wrote an entire blog about analytics and like how to measure stuff online. And it's still to this day, I'd say the fundamentals of web analytics. It's like timeless what he's written, so like I often go back to that. Um,
Okay, can you
but
can you
yeah,
share can you share his name more like
uh,
to the
Avinash,
audience?
Avinash Kaushik. I think it's called Occam's Razor should be the blog.
Okay,
Occam's. Let me just find it. Yeah, Occam's Razor by Avinash Kaushik. Just Google that.
Avinash. Okay, nice.
Um, Amazing blog. But except that, honestly, it's all about practicing and being in the field and
Hmm.
doing it yourself. I mean, I did read like all the books that you're supposed to read as a zero. I do read a lot of psychology,
Hmm.
like all over the place. Yeah, like they're like timeless classics like Kahneman that you should read. Um,
Okay.
Thinking Fast and Slow, I think is the English word, or like the English name of the book.
Hmm.
Then what else? Yeah, so many books I've read, honestly. Um, it's just about trying out things, like trying
Got
and
it.
testing it yourself.
Hmm.
Because the industry is changing rapidly. Like back in 2019, 2018, when we started out,
Hmm.
it was such a different time back then than it is now. And like
Hmm.
even what it is today versus 1 year ago is completely different.
Yes.
So you need to be able to adapt
Yeah.
very quickly and try out new things. Which is a challenge. Like as you become a bigger agency, like you're not able to change things as quick as you used to be, which is often frustrating. Um, but yeah, that's the tips that I have, like where to get started. Um, Beyond LinkedIn, like you said, like it's not only me, a bunch of other people that are doing great content. Uh, I think X sometimes has some good points. But then, yeah, super hard. That's what I would recommend, honestly.
Okay, nice, fine. So I think we covered a lot of things, and it's been around 30 minutes, 35 minutes when we started. Yeah, like other than things, I'm thinking any questions to ask. So, like, you are a 48 member agency, right? Are you guys remote or in office? How's the things going in the inside the agency?
Yeah, so we started out remote, then we had an office, and then we switched back to remote. Um,
Oh,
yeah, so now we're like fully remote again, which is a challenge. Like we're doing team trips every 6 months though. So in around a week, we're actually flying to France with the entire team and spending a week there
nice.
together. But yeah, we're remote first.
Okay, nice. So, yeah, I think I have covered most of the questions I had in my mind.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah. So, any final notes or any advice, quick advice or something you have to give to the people who are get started in the CRO or they have been like in the CRO industry for years? Yeah.
Yeah, like maybe final words. Like first of all, thank you so much for having me on the show. Loved it. Super excited where your journey's gonna go. And like regarding CRO, like one thing, like maybe for the end, some of the older people in CRO seem very intimidating and quite arrogant when it comes to statistics and stuff like that. Don't be imitated. You're gonna get there like someday, like figuring out the statistics and like all the theoretical stuff. But just start testing and just having fun trying to test and just trying to get better every single day. That's the most important thing. Never lose the fun at it.
Got it. Work hard, have fun. That's it, right?
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. So yeah, let's end the podcast.
That's yeah.
Thank you so much, Samuel. Like, it's
You're
my
welcome.
first. It was my first time, so I was little outcast, but you treated me very well. So I hope it did well. Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds good.
So yeah, let's see other time. Let's connect other time. Bye bye.